How is it going, everyone, and welcome back to the channel for another Star Wars Battlefront 2 video. And in this video, we are going to be discussing why Star Wars Battlefront 2 has a very bright future. Now, in my last video, I spoke about how Battlefront 2 had redeemed itself and I went over the game's past. So in this video, kind of acting like a sequel to that one, I'm going to be going into depth on the potential of Battlefront 2's future. But before we dive into all of that, a big thank you is in order for the support on the channel lately. The past month has just been absolutely ridiculous. So I just wanted to extend out a bit of a thank you for all of the support, as it does mean a lot and it's very motivating for the channel going forward. But now anyway, let's dive on into this video. So the future of Star Wars Battlefront 2 as a whole has been up in the air for a very long time now. A lot of people back when the game first released probably didn't expect that it was going to last for as long as it has. Now, I have been covering and playing this game since launch, and personally, I didn't even think that it was going to make it to where it is now. I mean, given all the issues in the game's past, with the launch, the gameplay issues, and just the general stigma surrounding Battlefront 2. But as most of us know by now, the game did turn itself around in a big way and has led to a point now where after 2 years since the game's launch, we are still talking about Battlefront 2's future and why it looks really bright. So that brings us to the present day for Battlefront 2. Now, as we have talked about on the channel before, EA and DICE have gone and released the Celebration Edition of Battlefront 2, marking the game's 2-year anniversary. But in reality, they are remarketing the game as it has come a long way since its disastrous launch. Now, EA knows this, DICE knows this, and players know this. So it's obviously time to rebrand the game and perhaps bring a new form of monetization to the game to continue its support. Because let's be real, the cosmetic monetization that Battlefront 2 has had over the past year and a half, it hasn't been effective at all. Seeing as they just haven't released skins often enough to make players feel like they have to buy crystals, which are the game's paid currency. Because the cosmetic drops, they were just way too few and far between, and players had credits saved up because of that. This new Celebration Edition of Battlefront 2 is going to be a massive deciding factor as to whether or not Battlefront 2 gets full support well into the future. The short to mid-term future for Battlefront 2 is more than guaranteed with confirmed content on the way, which I will touch on a little bit later. But the prolonged future for Battlefront 2 further down the track, it looks to be hanging in the balance as to whether or not these Celebration Editions sell well enough. And if they do, it means that EA can keep throwing money at DICE to continue support with Battlefront 2. And given the massive player influx Battlefront 2 has had over the past month and the general positivity and just word of mouth that the game has gathered, it looks like this isn't going to be much of a worry if things keep going the way they are. But now let's talk about the start of 2020 for Battlefront 2. We know that we are getting a follow-on to the Rise of Skywalker DLC, which of course itself is coming December 17th. Because Battlefront 2 will be receiving game mode updates as well as 2 new heroes, BB-8 and BB-9E in January. And DICE are confirmed to be looking at content to come in the following months, which again has been confirmed in the past few days, which is pretty exciting news to hear. Now, given the rising player base and general noise that the game is making at the moment, it's more than fair to expect that a ton of content is going to follow the first 3 months of 2020. And the rest of the year is just going to be as big of 2019 was for Battlefront 2, in my opinion. Now that does bring us to the topic of the Clone Wars Season 7 content coming to Battlefront 2 in 2020. So Season 7 of the Clone Wars will be coming to Disney Plus in February of 2020, and this lines up perfectly with what we could expect for Battlefront 2. Ahsoka Tano and Asajj Ventress have been heavily rumored to come into Battlefront 2 for a very long time now. And this is the perfect window in which this is most likely to happen. And if it does, this is going to head Battlefront 2 down a very popular and bright path in 2020. Now, on the topic about Disney Plus TV shows, the Kenobi TV show starring Ewan McGregor starts filming in 2020. So that also outlines some content that we could see in potentially 2021. Now, anyone who has played Battlefront 2 since launch knows that DICE tend to run content alongside film releases. with The Last Jedi being released just after the game's launch in December of 2017. Also, the Solo: A Star Wars Story DLC that was added in mid-2018. And of course, the soon-to-be Rise of Skywalker DLC that will be coming in about a week's time from the recording of this video. Now, we haven't gotten anything for The Mandalorian, which was actually a bit of a surprise, but I don't think that's going to happen again for the Clone Wars especially, and potentially Kenobi. Now, this obviously should be taken with a grain of salt, as we aren't confirming anything here. I'm just trying to put all the puzzle pieces together. But anyway, moving on, there is so much unexplored content still that we could potentially see in Battlefront 2 throughout 2020 and beyond. And this plays into why Battlefront 2's future could be absolutely massive. You can think of it this way: Battlefront 2 is still missing some of the most iconic Star Wars content that we could possibly see in a Star Wars game. Coruscant is perhaps one of the more iconic locations in Star Wars, with it being the center of the entire prequel trilogy, and pivotal to how the Star Wars narrative turned out the way it did. Yet it is still not in Battlefront 2, and this is a massive opportunity for DICE. Now, we also don't have some of the more iconic movie characters in the game as heroes. We still don't have the likes of, Padme, Jango Fett, Mace Windu, Jyn Erso, Director Orson Krennic, Poe Dameron, even characters that we saw in Battlefront 2's predecessor like Nien Nunb, Dengar and Greedo aren't in the game either. So it's more than fair to say that Battlefront 2 has absolutely no shortage of content options. And I just want to put this out there, as I keep seeing this appear a lot in the comment sections of my videos. No, Jedi Fallen Order content will not be coming to Battlefront 2. This has been confirmed to not be happening, so I just wanted to put that out there. But now anyway, if Battlefront 2 does get ongoing support to the next unnamed Star Wars game, which could potentially get a release as early as late 2021, I think it's fair to say, and I firmly believe this, that Battlefront 2 will continue support until that point. So that's a lot of time to bring some of the most wanted content to Battlefront 2 in that time frame. So just from that alone, it's got people seriously excited for the future of Battlefront 2, and because of that, I really do think that Battlefront 2's best years are still in front of it, not behind. Now for me, there is just no logical reason as to why Battlefront 2's live service will stop anytime soon. Given the fact that the cult following that Battlefront franchise has, it's huge by itself. And given that I don't see them calling quits on this game until a new game is ready to take its place, and I mean, why would they go and remarket the game with this Celebration Edition if they were even thinking of bringing the game's live service to a close? It would make literally no sense at all, and I think EA will want a live service Star Wars game running at all times to keep Star Wars games relevant. If they cut off the live service for Battlefront 2 and didn't release a AAA Star Wars game for a couple more years, then that's not going to be doing their ownership of the Star Wars license any favors at all. And given the recent influx of players and the popularity of the game right now, it seems like them cancelling live service at any point in 2020 would seriously be the dumbest thing that they could possibly do. People all over YouTube have been hyping up Battlefront 2's future for a damn good reason, and this video is no different. The future of Battlefront 2 is looking very bright. And when you consider where the game was and how far it's come, it's pretty crazy to think. This game could have been dead and buried a long time ago, but it does make me truly happy and relieved as a content creator for Battlefront 2 that the future of this game is looking very bright, to say the very, very least. And honestly, I cannot wait to see how things unfold in the coming year. But I do have to say that in summary, that this game, in my opinion, has, like I said, its best years ahead of it, and DICE are more than likely going to start getting really creative with this game. And I think that's been proven with, BB-8 coming to the game as a hero, so there are certainly exciting times ahead that should be well worth your time. And I mean, there's just so much potential content that we could see. As for the planets, you've got Coruscant, Mustafar, Megiddo, Umbara, Utapau, and then you've got heroes that could potentially be added as well. Like I said, Jyn Erso, Krennic, Plo Koon, Mace Windu, Padme, Jango Fett. Half of this, and honestly, I would be happy, and it would hold this game in a really good stead. And I mean, that's the beauty of having a game set in the Star Wars universe. There is just so much to offer, and I really hope that DICE really capitalize on this throughout 2020 and beyond. But guys, what do you all think of all of this? Be sure to post your thoughts in the comments section below. And if you are new to Battlefront 2 or haven't gotten the game yet, let me know if you're going to get your hands on it. I personally think that you would be crazy to not pick the game up if you are a Star Wars fan. It's cheap to get and the DLC is free after all. But guys, that is just about going to do it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, then it would be greatly appreciated if you could drop a like, as it does really help these videos out. And if you are new around here, then absolutely feel free to subscribe to the channel with that notification bell switched on. But yeah, that's pretty much going to do it for me today. So thank you all for watching. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll talk to you all next time.